Hello friends, welcome back in the series GenAI for .NET developers. I hope you enjoyed the last session which I recorded about your mind shift, how you will shift your mind and move to GenAI because initial all the earlier sessions we mostly talk about classic machine learning, deep learning, and then in last session I share the presentation where I describe the topics and how we can move with the Gen AI, what are the fundamental things you need to learn. But today, this is the important session again. It's a generative AI architecture for .NET engineers or .NET applications. You understand about the Gen AI. Generative AI is helpful and help us definitely in creation of new content, creation of images, video, workflows, audios, code. Nowadays, it's possible with support of Gen AI and the large language models as well, and small language models also comes together. But here we need to understand how do you design your application architecture. So what exactly AI architectures looks like in a .NET applications if you design it. Some of you, if you think the generative AI means you can call the GPT or you call the large language models API and you use in your system, I think that's not everything, and that's here the production level approach may fail. So we need to understand how exactly this will. So in this session, my concern and my vision is try to explain you what exactly architecture of GenAI enabled application and how system looks like in the .NET. By end of this session, you will understand, or you must have an answer of certain questions. What an LLM exactly? What is large language model? LLM means large language model. Why LLMs are insufficient alone? Means if LLM is already there and we don't club or we don't map into Gen AI structure or umbrella, then is this sufficient to solve the problem? That's especially not completely, it's not completely sufficient. Yeah, it's a high power, high amount of data it has, but it's alone it's not sufficient. How enterprise Gen AI systems are structured, exactly what is the process and how you create your AI enabled application or you create your AI agent in under the umbrella of Gen AI, where orchestration and governance fit. That's definitely required. You know about it. Being an experienced person, orchestration and governance both are two are different things, and both things are required. Whether it's your journal application that built in the .NET or your GenAI application, that's a new era where you are moving. So let's move and try to understand how this architecture looks like and what are the things you need to take care while you develop those applications. First of all, I think this you all do know, but let's then recap it. What exactly generative AI? Generative AI is a type of machine learning that we discussed in the last session as well, which able to create a new content, images, code, audio, video, and how it is possible. This is possible based on the learning patterns and based on the existing data that I've just, and where this Gen AI exactly exists in the AI landscape. You can see over here on the top we have artificial intelligence, then machine learning is a part of artificial intelligence, then we have a deep learning, and inside the deep learning we have another layer is called generative AI. If you look at this, generative AI is what is at a very higher level. It's a probabilistic content generation models, but how this content is generated. So the content may be generated through LLM, large language model. If you describe large language model, then it's next token prediction system. But there are several definitions we have, but just for your understanding, I created this. And then you have an output. But now the question is the output which was generated by LLM can be possible text, not guaranteed truth. What does it mean possible? Yeah, let's see. I will show you. So that's not guarantee. It's exactly right information. It is shared by the LLM. Then why it is possible? Because this is not right information. It might be possible not right information shared by LLM, because we have certain limitation of LLM. There are certain limitation of large language models. Those limitations we need to understand, and being a developer, I would say, please keep your focus. What could be, what are the LLM's limitations? Here I list out certain high amount of the problem, general limitations which we face in the industry when we are developing application in the GenAI. But you can find a lot, so you can search it on the internet, and then you can grow your skills. But for my videos durations limitation, I keep the top limitations of the LLM. First and important limitation of LLM is explanation and inaccuracy. How it is possible? We all know LLM has a huge amount of potential. LLM, although trained on billions of parameters, then how is it possible? It is possible if you are directly start working without a rules. So LLMs can generate false, misleading, or fabricated information that sound possible, means that sounds not truth. This is one of the issue. I will share the blogs for the each topic. I know if I explain you in a one-liner definition, then might be you have a lot of questions in your mind. No worry about it. I will share you the blog links where you can read it out the bigger size of blog, and you can clarify your doubts. LLM, another limitation for LLM is comes limited knowledge of update. That seems unrealistic to you guys, isn't it? Because everyone know LLM means large language model. Then how it is possible? Hold on. It is. Let's try to understand. Models are trained on a data, because all the large language models are trained on a specific data, but at a certain time, certain date and time. So the models are not real time. If you ask any real time question, if model don't have the data, that definitely lack in the limitation. They cannot give you the real time data, because it's up to their training period that you already learned when you created your own models. Another thing is, another limitation comes, is called context window constraint. What is means context window constraint? They have a maximum amount of text or token they can consider at a one time, limiting their ability to handle long document. What is exactly context window constraint? I find best one of the good article or one of the good blog. I will also refer this blog to you guys. You can refer this. What is LLM context? Context window, what is token, what's attention, and what are the challenges? Beautiful describe this blog. So I will share link of this blog in my video description. You can walk through this. So if you look at it, there is a limitation. This is treated as a limitation of a large language model. So if I try to explain you the whole concept, you can see this bigger blog, then maybe the video duration would be longer and longer. So I will share that blog link. You can please have a look. So these are the high level of limitations. One of thing is, that's a very important, lack of long-term memory. What does means lack of long-term memory? If you have experience, if you worked on a chat GPT or any chatbot, if you try to ask your questions, then you start conversation with the large language model. Once your document length bigger, higher, there are chances that your response, the model will not remember what exactly you asked in a first some questions. So that is memory limitations we reach. So each session is independent. And other thing is, let's say you have you started your conversation in the 10th session and you wanted to understand, then my first session information will carry forward. So there's some limitation here. So because the information was not stored externally or not persistent, so we have solution as well. It doesn't mean LLM is not good. LLM is definitely changing right now. It's a changing and industry. The Gen AI is heavily used large language models to develop automations, develop agents, and develop multi agents, and we create a workflows. This is the benefit of LLM. But yes, we also need to know what are the limitations, because only knowing about the positive, but if no one is telling you the negative or the drawbacks, or the limitations, I think that's not truth. So I'm explaining you the positiveness as well and the limitations as well, so you have a better understanding while you're developing your Gen AI applications. Let's move on the other thing, how enterprise application architectures looks like. That's a very important, guys. And this is, if you started working, let's say you are .NET developer, you already built application, you have a database layer, you have a domain layer, you have a business layer, then you have an application layer. All the layers are divided, there are multi-layers, and then you combine your layers based on the relation, that the design patterns which you use, or the data communication style you use in your application. But think about how, if you start building generative AI applications, then what your application, how your application structure looks like. So the first and topmost layer for you is application layer, where you have application. It doesn't mean using Gen AI you can only and only develop chatbots. No, I think that's not truth. You can develop high amount of applications, there are higher flexibility. So your application layer on top, which is accessible by user, and then data layer, there is a data platform, the API management, or you use, this is your internal application. Then you have orchestration. Orchestration is required, which is comes under ML ops, means LLM ops or ML ops, machine learning operations. You have a prompt engineering here, because for large language model, you are what you are, how you're dealing with the large language model. Large language model could be GPT or others model, but how you deal with those models. So you are dealing with a model based on the prompts. So in coming sessions, I will also record in-depth session for prompt engineering. How, what is the value of writing good prompt, and how you deal with the model, large language model, because there are many topics comes, it's called prompt injections, or many topics. So I will not hold down in this session, but yes, at a higher level I will give you some session on the prompt engineering as well. And LLM ops means ML ops, or large language model operations. So that's a, this is the one of the layer is called orchestration layer. And then your model exists, because you have a model, ML foundation model could be, LLM model could, that's up to your application, or you're up to your business concern, business problem. Are you really want to use LLM, or you want to use SLM, small language model, or you want to use your custom machine learning model, or you fine tune the large language model. That's also, so this is exists inside the model hub. And then your infrastructure layers comes, if you, which infrastructure layer you are using, because these all comes wrapped together and comes inside the infrastructure layer. This is at a higher side, it doesn't matter, it's a your .NET, it's a PHP, it's a Python, it's a Java, that's a Gen AI application. Enterprise level of architecture, how generative AI applications looks like internally. Now I have this. So how your .NET application look like? Yeah, so let's say you have .NET application, your .NET APIs, then orchestration layer. Here we have semantic kernels. Don't be surprised, going forward we have dedicated towards semantic kernel only. And then this is your orchestration layer, and then you deployed your model. This is new term you seen here, AI Foundry, Azure AI Foundry. Yes, we will use this in our coming sessions. So this is the deployment layer, basically where exactly you consume the LLM, large language model, and at last large language model comes. So this is the overall structure, guys. Here a new architectural layer in the modern enterprise application. So what is my motivation? Why I explaining these terms to you? I can directly start about just using large language model and plug with our C# code and start telling you you can utilize in that way. But I think that's unfair with you, because you are starting your or you are exploring a generative AI with a .NET. Then I will build your knowledge based on the industry pattern, based on the industry uses. It's not a demo, it's not a tutorial, that's industrial uses. How from the day one, if you want to start building your Gen AI application, then you can start directly. So you don't need to then again try it out and understand how enterprise level architectures looks like. That's why we have to maintain these layers in our application. That's easier and helpful for monitoring governance we will use. And next session I will explore together, we will explore how LLMs exactly. Here one more blog I found from Microsoft portal. I will share this link to you as well. You can look into here, you can read it out here. That's their training session where they will define how generative AI and what are the generative AI components. If I continue over here, let's hold down here. Okay, here you can see what exactly large language models, how, what are the functionality, what are the tokenization. Basically the large language model, the prompt we sharing, then prompt broken down into the tokens. We will come in the next session. So transforming tokens and with the transformers, how their attention foundation model works, how exactly transformers works, what are the initial vector positioning encoding, what is exactly encoding, what's attention and embedding. This is a bigger bigger session, a bigger tutorial I found on the Microsoft. I will update, I will link this in the video description, so you can, if you are interested, you can look into this. Next session we will try to understand LLMs. What is large language models? Here I touch LLMs at a very higher level, but in the next session we will talk about, I will talk about the large language models. And the next session, once you have an understanding how enterprise architectures looks like with the GenAI and what exactly LLM and how you work with the LLM, then you are ready, yes, you are ready to deploy your first GPT model on Azure AI Foundry. We will explore this together. Thank you very much for watching and growing your skill. Thank you guys.